Sound healing combined with meditation and mindfulness practices along with Indian classical music can greatly enhance the experience by using the therapeutic qualities of ragas to induce calmness, focus, and emotional balance. Indian classical music, with its rich tradition, provides a deep reservoir of sounds that can aid in meditation and mindfulness. I will present two examples today. First one, Rag Bhopali, which is pentatonic scale known worldwide. It uses C, D, E, G, A, and C notes. Bhopali is often used to evoke feelings of serenity and devotion. The simplicity and purity of its notes can help in grounding the mind and promoting the state of mindfulness. The second presentation will be Rag Ahir Bhairav. Ahir Bhairav is known for its morning serenity. It combines the elements of Bhairav and Kafi, creating a mood that is both reflective and peaceful. It can be particularly effective in morning meditation practices. First, Rag Bhopali.
Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we have Jonathan Quintin. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
Great. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Jonathan was born in the beautiful and isolated country of New Zealand. He was something of a misfit, and his school years were primarily an exercise in survival. He didn't finish high school and left without any qualifications apart from basic grasp of reading, writing, and arithmetic and dealing with challenges. Right? A couple of years on, a serendipitous connection led to a place for him in marine radio communications. The training and experience gained from that enabled him to later work on ships and oil rigs in the North Sea and then the United Nations in the Middle East. It was in the Middle East that he became fascinated with sacred geometry and how it appeared in many of the ancient civilizations in that region. In 1986, he resigned from the UN in order to dedicate the rest of his life to the study and artistic expression of sacred geometry, as well as the beneficial effects it can have on human consciousness and our sense of well-being. From the mid-1990s until the pandemic, his livelihood was largely derived from international speaking tours where he presented on the subject of sacred geometry and universal order. Right? What have you been up to lately?
Lately, not just lately, always, in fact, for the last few decades, has been obsessed with sacred geometry. And my approach to it is like a few approaches because in my the tours that I've given, I show the same content, the same visuals to a wide range of audiences, ranging from academic, even mathematicians' conferences, and even to professors of mathematics. On one end of a scale to spiritual groups at, mind, body, spirit festivals and that kind of thing, and Theosophical Society and Rudolf Steiner schools, that sort of thing, and regular schools giving assemblies at standard regular schools because I use a different dialogue. I don't use, words that are taboo in the halls of academia. I use the generic geometric terms, and some I even make up. And it's the same everywhere I go. People are naturally attracted to these geometries. And it's because we ourselves are geometric forms. We're made of geometry or organized by geometry, held together by geometry. Molecules are geometrical. And it's the same on every level of creation, micro, macro. It's the same across the board, whether we're talking from infinitesimally small to infinitesimally large. The scale can change from those two ends of a spectrum, but the ratios and proportions remain the same no matter what level it's at. And this geometry, when I don't or am not able to describe it as sacred geometry, I call it geometric cosmology or hyperspace geometry. That's my favorite one, is hyperspace, because this is where and how these geometric principles can play out, because I show, even though we can't experience infinity, we can experience the process of infinity, and we can look at segments of an infinite process. And geometry is perfect for that. And of course, as I show in the video that we'll talk about in a little bit, it all comes from the circle. The circle is considered to be the cosmic womb, the source of undifferentiated potential from which, you see infinite possibilities. It can be arranged and it's inside the perimeter of a circle can be arranged in an infinite number of ways. And I have make a good attempt at showing a wide spectrum of, how that can play out. And we look at it, and I've been doing this since 1986, not the videos, not the stage I'm at right now. It was all by hand. But, across the board, whatever country I go to, people are naturally attracted to it, and children too are. And in fact, they're my favorite audience. And they have the most unbridled audience, because when they see it, it's like the degree of amnesia hasn't set into them. And to say,
We had a class with 3 to 6 year olds, and we had them drawing the flower of life with a compass
oh, nice.
and coloring it in, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, whoa!" Right?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It's interesting, I always think of, it's the core template of perfection that we and the universe comes from. But also, there's another part that I think is really important. It's really kind of the basis of creative work. Once you see the structure of all these different key components that you lay out, then you can take those structures and create the most incredible artwork, and even use that as a way of creating a new business, or creating a new mindset, or it's really kind of the jumping off point for creativity, because it's got the structure of the whole universe right there.
yes, yes. And that's one of the things about geometry is it's limitless. I'm never, ever going to be short of subject matter. I'm not going to live long enough to even do just a tiny little fragment of it, and that's great, because that's the vastness of it, and I can just add my tiny little piece into the jigsaw puzzle of the unified field, unity consciousness, and how everything is connected. And geometry is essentially the organizing underlay of that.
Nice. Okay, so if you had all the money in the world, how would you use this work to change the whole world?
I would set up a global university in New Zealand, in the beautiful countryside of New Zealand near the ocean. And it would be about nutrition, teaching people about nutrition, not only biological nutrition for the body, but healthy, nourishing nutrition for the mind and the spirit. Because our biggest problem, well, we have quite a few, so it's a bit hard to pinpoint which is the biggest one. But, food, if you look at photos, you see on Facebook, photos from the 70s, everyone is slim. And then they have photos, currently at present, a crowd of people, and a lot of them are not slim. And the difference is that, that's the difference that mass production of food and food corporations putting profit ahead of people and adding stuff, to get a better yield and better shelf life and that kind of stuff. But that's not natural, and when we eat it, then, it alters the chemistry. And so that's one thing, and as well as poor nutrition and lots of other things.
Cool.
But, it's also been bombarded from the screen every day, bombarded with violence and bad news and horror and more violence and more violence and more bad news and I see sacred geometry as an antidote to that, because sacred geometry, people over the years, thousands and thousands of people who I've shown it to, the common feedback is that it helps, it makes them feel calm, and it gives them a sense of peace, of inner peace. And that's another name I call this geometry, inner geometry. Well, it's also the same as cyber geometry. Because, with everything going on around us, particularly now, and it seems to be still accelerating, this rate of chaos and mayhem, and no escaping it, except there is a place of escaping it. And that is, you can have an inner sanctuary. And geometry, sacred geometry, as you know, we show the video, particularly, you know, the second part of the video, which is just visuals, and you can just, you know, the right brain has is what really nourishes the right brain. And with solfeggio music in the background, just get the essential experience of it without any of the left brain stuff that I do in the first part of it, which is a tutorial of sorts to give an explanation of how these geometries behind me, how all of the information I needed to create this pattern behind me and the others that you will see, all the information I needed was contained in 3 simple shapes: the triangle, square, and pentagon. And it's through the dissection and the extrapolation, the dissection within the borders, within the perimeters of the shapes, and the extrapolation through the outer expansiveness. It's all there in these seeds and these mathematical seeds, just through such things as, you know, the angles and the interangular relationships and the ratios and proportions and so on and so on. That more of that will be in the video. So it's giving us, you know, educating the observer as to how these geometries came about. And, you know, I just follow very simple step-by-step, you know, processes. And I'm so glad that I failed at math at school, because I was starting with a clean slate, you know. And
this is my big hope for the world, is that this is the math we learn, because the math I learned in school, I have no idea what I learned it for, right? Whereas this will connect you to nature and make you feel good, right? This is the math we should be learning, right? And it still teaches you the logical mind and how to actually, you know, do logic, but it's the perfect balance, because you do the math and the logical, and all of a sudden you're blissed out in the right brain.
Yeah, and another thing too, geometry utilizes both the left and right parts of the brain, and when they are both working and are synchronized because of the imagery that they're following the same imagery, when it's synchronized, and there's a synergy where they merge into whole brain consciousness and expanded awareness. And my geometry is intended actually for a whole spectrum of uses from a whole array of people, and it includes and what you and I have discussed previously, the therapeutic qualities of it, and how people feel a sense of peace and comfort and are soothed by these geometries. And when you work the visual geometries with the music, the solfeggio frequencies and what have you, then there is a synergy. And it's no two people, no two observers and listeners will have the same experience, because it all has to go through their individual filters that they, you know, set up along their lifetime through indoctrination or, you know, the genealogy and all of that. Everyone sees it, you know, from their own perspective, but math is math. The numbers don't lie. You know, the shapes are expressions of number relationships, and when, you know, it's our language. It's a universal language, and that's why children understand it so well and enjoy it so well, is because, you know, they still have memory of that.
It's always like to say, it really is God's language.
It is indeed, yes. And well, in fact, one of the descriptions, one of the more poetic philosophical descriptions I have of the geometries, that they are algorithms emanating from the universal mind. And, because where does it come from? It comes from the source of creation, because this is the same geometry using the same principles and organizing principles that we find made manifest in nature. It's the
And the
same
body.
geometry and the body.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anything else about the video before we play it?
No, let's play it.
Okay. Let's blast off. I'll see you on the other side.
Okay.
it's really beyond words. It's just so incredible. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of sacred geometry, and I've never seen anything this detailed, right?
Wow.
And this beautiful, and the music that adds to it. Oh my God, it's just your work is. I just love your work. It's
Oh, thank you.
so I got a little excited because what I've been trying to do is correspond sound to sacred geometry all along the way. And some of my friends have done similar. And the first thing I do is first of all, you can't really think of it as frequency because even the diameter of the circle is a random one. And that one can be assigned to any frequency, right?
Yes.
But the musical interval relationships is you can totally see it as, right? So if you have a triangle where one side is 3 lengths and another side is 2 lengths, that's a 3-to-2 ratio, which is a musical fifth in music. Right? And you can get between the sides of any geometry, you can always get a musical interval relationship. And Randy Masters, as you know, created a whole set of chimes based on the Sri Yantra, the sides of the Sri Yantra.
Yeah.
So you could actually play chimes that are those musical interval relationships, right? And then there's another thing that Richard Feather Anderson came up with actually corresponding the harmonics to the root, like root 2, root 3, and all that. And but still a little convoluted. But then I saw this. Let me share the screen of the video you just showed here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here you called this harmonic octaves, but it's not octaves. It's
no, I use the octave as 8. Just for the 8.
Yeah. So it's really actual mathematical multiples, which is
multiples, right?
Yeah,
I
one
should have used
times
multiples.
1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 180, 6 times 180.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's one, and that structure, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times, is exactly the way almost all harmonics in sound are mathematically done. So if you have 180 hertz, the second harmonic is going to be 360. The third harmonic will be exactly 540. The fourth is 720. Exactly. And this mathematical relationship plays out partially in the distance between the planets. Some say the mathematical multiples is also the distance between electron shells in the nucleus of an atom. They say it's even the weight of the vertebrae are mathematical multiples, and I wouldn't doubt that the actual chakras are, because they're frequency devices, right? And then Fabian Maman says the auras go up based on the harmonic structure, which is 1 times 2 times. And then this harmonic structure of 1 times 2 times 3 times is the way people tuned their instruments since the beginning of time. So we could tie into nature, which is the distance between the planets, everything I just mentioned. And here, so I've always been looking for a correspondence within sound, within the harmonic structure mathematically to this, because I often think, and see what you think about this, that the harmonic structure of sound is like the masculine structure, whereas the golden mean is the building structure of love. Which is the feminine side. I kind of like that idea. I don't know.
I like that description. Yeah.
Because
I call the golden ratio the golden thread that weaves its way through the tapestry of creation, uniting diverse and contrasting elements into a harmonious whole.
Nice. And then they say, even when you're transmitting love, let me stop sharing screen here. Oh, there it is, way over there. So when you're transmitting love, your heart actually puts out harmonics that are in golden mean ratios, and it goes up and down in tempo based on the golden mean as well, which, so it's like tied into love as well. So I got a little excited about that. Okay. Now there's another little piece that I wanted to uh, talk to you about, because it just, in the presentation, it's like you didn't really address it, but it's kind of like the big question. Let me show this again here. Okay, zoom, share screen. Okay, so here, when you talk about filling the triangles with different images, well, first you go through.
Well, it's dividing the triangles up in different ways,
So,
and with,
okay,
yeah,
but you,
by relationship to a circle. And so carry on though, sorry.
right. So that makes sense if you just take it and divide it and get it small. So it's a total, what's the word? Uh, yeah, where it's the same small as big, right? But you've
Yes.
done something a little more complex here. I mean, it's like, look, you've got this little star, and then you've got squares here, and then you got.
They're rhomboids, not squares.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got mixed and match, and it's like so funny because you look at this and you go, you know, it looks like you kind of just got creative, but there's still this math between the different parts, right? All the different parts that you have in here.
It's very fundamental relationship. It's 15, 30, 40, 60, 90, 120 degrees. All of those lines will conform to one of those angles.
And then those interact with themselves, the 15, 30, 45, and 90. And that's kind of how you figured it out, right? It's the relationships
Yeah.
of the 15, 30, 45, and 90.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's so interesting to look at this and think, okay, how much of this is creativity and how much is structure? And it's kind of like looking at a green field, right? There's like, there's that sacred geometry structure in everything, every blade of grass, even the way different sections of the field have different plants, right? It's like very ordered, but there's complete chaos in there, which is really creative, which it makes everything a little bit different. So it's so I mean, because you do have this creativity, even just the colors, right? And what order you put things in to actually do this. And you got so many different possibilities where you did this, and then you did this one, right? Right, and it just goes on and on.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like you are doing a creative aspect. It's not just there's a creativity the way you outlined it, even the way you did the colors.
I like to make the distinction between what you say I created and the original creator of this, because I didn't create these. They were already there. They were pre-existing in a state of potential, just needing this geometer to come along and say, oh, and start delineating it in with pigments or pixels or whatever modality they're using to illustrate what is already there.
I love this. I think this is so important for kids because, I remember when I was in elementary school and they said, okay, let's do this creative writing, creative project. And I hadn't done drugs by then. Right? And some kids are creative and I wasn't very creative. Right. And now a lot of kids aren't creative. They are scared of it because they're like, oh, I can't come up with a thought. Whereas here, once you get into this realm, it's all creativity and it's fun and it's easy once you get the structure down to do it. I mean, even just painting these or coloring these different colors, right? That's like super simple and so creative. So it's like I see it as the ultimate path to teaching kids creativity.
Yes. Yes, me too. And that's why, I'm going to have children's programs I'm putting together different segments, for different levels of understanding, including children, and well, actually, possibly especially for children, because to give them a very positive and optimistic experience of geometry and encourage them to pursue it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now there's one.
So we were talking earlier, and I just had the thought before it disappears. Another reason I do this geometry is to help to attune us, to bring us back into alignment with natural order, because we've lost our way. We're so out of kilter, not for any fault of our own, but all of the intrinsic and external influences has thrown us out of natural order. This will help bring us back. The geometries, in my experience and my empirical observation over the decades, is that it helps to bring into balance that which is out of balance.
I love
So
it.
it's like a tuning fork, using the same, relationship between geometry and sound. This is the golden keys, helping to attune our energy fields and our consciousness along with it, so that it's in harmony with natural order and with the unified field in cosmos.
So with the kids, what we did is we said, okay, go out into nature and bring in a bunch of things. And we've got 11 boxes that are all different geometry patterns, and figure out which box the things from nature go in. And they were so excited. 3 to 6 year olds, they brought all this stuff, and and they said sometimes it goes into 2 different boxes that are different types of archetypal geometries. And those kids will never, ever see nature the same. They will always be seeing the patterns now within nature the rest of their life.
Yes.
So
yes.
beautiful. Okay. So then there's this thing you did on the golden mean here. Okay. So you took this here and you built something out of it, right? And so this is, and golden mean is mathematically it's 1 times 1.618, and I've actually taken a frequency of the earth, 136.102, and multiplied it by 1.618 to get a second frequency, and multiplied that frequency by 1.618, and then that one by 1. So I created this in sound before. And it's really,
wow,
it's really cool. Really cool to listen to. Okay. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's see. Let me stop sharing here, and I'll play it for you just a second. Oh my God, I've got it right here. Okay. So, okay, I gotta share my sound when I do it. Okay, share screen, share sound. Okay, and here we go. Okay, so I think of this as the energy of love, because if the heart is creating harmonics and golden mean ratios, this would be the actual energy of love. Let's see. Okay, where is it? Okay. I'll find it here. Here it is. Okay, I'll just play a second of it here. So I'm just bringing up different harmonics of the golden mean at different times. So that's exactly these ratios in sound. Okay, so let's see, let me turn the sound down. Okay, so now you go from here to showing it in a geometry. Okay, so you take that and then you show. So these are the different distances, right? Oh,
Yes.
but so when you did that, I was like, okay, that was like a little quick. It's like, so
Oh,
can you tell
yeah.
us more about what just happened there, where you actually took the golden mean and mapped it to this geometry itself?
Yeah. Do you see my mouse? No, you don't because I'm not sharing
No,
screen.
yeah.
Uh, so if if you start with the red line, the shortest
Uh-huh.
line at the
Mm-hmm.
center, and we
Mm-hmm.
give that the value of 1,
Uh-huh.
and then we go up that triangle of the pentagram, that is
Mm-hmm.
1.618 times longer.
Uh-huh.
And then it takes you into the next pentagram surrounding it. And each stage, each color as you go is progressing in length 1.618 times.
Mm.
I should
Wow.
do that slower. Thanks for that
Mm-hmm.
feedback.
Uh-huh. That's really cool. So we find the golden mean in a lot of different geometries, huh?
Well, one of the most exquisite places it is found is inside the human form. And Da Vinci in his Vitruvian Man showed this, and I was looking for the file, and I just couldn't find it anywhere, but I'll have it, available not too, quite soon. Where that the next stage of that is it goes across to the human form, to Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, showing the same proportions in the human body.
We've actually done classes where they have the kids actually measure, from here to here
Yeah,
and see how
yeah,
close it is to 16.8, and then the hand, and then the whole arm.
yes,
That's really cool.
yeah. And
Cool.
we think to bear in mind it's very important when we translate it to organic geometry is that in the geometry behind me, that's, cyberspace, inner space, geometry, and it's precision, exact precision, exactly. But when we go into the 3D, we don't have that same degree of precision. It's more just a template to an underlying influence that, is there because no two people are the same. And so you can't, we would live in a robotic existence if we were all the same and the same measured in the same way. So that's just a guiding principle in 3D in nature, but close enough, especially when you look at things like pine cones and sunflower seeds and nautilus seashells and that, you can see it's occurring over and over and over and all the way through. And in fact, that's what got me passionate about sacred geometry. Didn't know about those terms at the time, but as a school child, um, I was a misfit, and fortunately, my saving grace was that our school was next to farmland, which quickly led on into the wilderness, into the foothills, and then the Alps. And all I had to do was make it across the field and then into a ditch, and I would be free. And often, way too often, I just arrived for school in the morning for a roll call and then I disappear for the rest of the day. And the teachers didn't care because they were overloaded, had
Uh-huh.
30, 40 unruly students and they wouldn't miss one. In fact, it was a blessing. And I'd spend my days, out in nature in the wilderness. And nature was my classroom, and the wisdom of nature was my
Mm.
teacher. And that's where I got mesmerized by, the sunflowers and the pine cones and seashells and all of those things. And I'd spend hours and hours just looking at them, just gazing, enthralled, raptured by them. And also I knew that, as I grew older, I'd be doing something connected to this. I didn't know how at that time. I was like, 13, 14 years old. But, it developed into what I do today.
I want to show you one other thing that we're working on here that's really cool for the kids. So what we're doing is body percussion, and we do the body percussion based on rhythm. And so we could do with the 3 to 4 year olds. I go, okay, 1 on the lap, 2 on the chest, 1, 2, and then we can do different vowels. Ooh, O or different consonants, right? And then we expand it to 3-beat cycle, right? So we're doing it based on the circle. So they do 3 body parts, 1, 2, 3, right? And then we do 4 body parts for the percussion. And then we do 5, just like you're showing, right? 6, 7, and then we do 8 all the way up to 12, which ties into music. You could say 8 is exactly like eighth notes on music. And it is exactly eighth notes, right? And then we've got 12 and so forth. And then what we do is we actually do the subdivisions. So we can say, take the 4, we can go 1, 1, 2, 3, which would be oo with vowels. It would be oo, oo, o, ah, or ba, ta, ba, ta, na, right? And then we can do different subdivisions, and if you then you start seeing all the patterns of the body percussion they're doing on themselves, right? And then we can assign them different body parts and different vowels and consonants, and we have the full perspective of vowels and consonants that you could actually use for this. So we've written them all out so they can now get creative with all of the different possibilities of all body parts and all vowels and consonants, all syllables, right? So they got the whole template. And then what we do is we start adding musical intervals to these, to the circle. So they can actually do intervals. So it's like ooh, ah, oh. So it becomes a new nomenclature for music, right? That they're doing on their body. And then after a few years, we go, if you connect all the dots on an 8 and 10 dot circle, you get every sacred geometry in the world.
Yeah.
You get the, and we're going to turn you over to Jonathan now as to the meaning of all this that they're doing in their body from the beginning, right? For years. Oh my God. It's like a whole nother way of doing music. And then we go, okay, let's actually create rhythms based on your pulse, or based on the Schumann resonance, or based on rhythms in nature, and see how those tie in to the geometry as well. So
in your breath.
Yeah. Okay. I get so excited. It's just so much fun. And it's yes. I think the way education should be is every kid going, whoa, whoa. I have to tell you, we have one of our instructors set it up so she could have the cymatic plate with powder on it, and had the kids on Zoom tone into it and create different geometric structures.
Wow.
And these 3 to 6-year-olds, when they saw their voices create these geometries, they went, whoa, whoa,
yes.
whoa, right? And that's what I think is all education should be. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Instead,
it must pass the wow effect. It must pass.
Right. And then it's like, oh my God, I want to learn more. I want more. I can't wait for the next class. Whereas the way school is right now, it's like, oh, it sucks. I failed. Yeah. I failed, and it wasn't fun what we were learning, and I didn't pass the test. And it's like, it should be all a blast. And this is it right here.
Yeah.
One day, I mean, imagine growing up in this world instead of the competition world, and it's so much better for the brain, because now you're using the whole brain. Oh my God, it's just kind of wackadoodle that we're not doing it.
I know. Well, it's wackadoodle in a sense, and it's also being constructed that way. Schools were developed to train workers, for the mills and that kind of stuff, and to be obedient, and to, be a good soldier when needed.
Right, right.
But yeah, we need to, bring out what else is there that has been covered over for so long, including, the sacred geometry monuments, the pyramids and that, they were aware of sacred geometry and built accordingly, according to the resources they had at the time and, what level of advancement they had reached at that point. And because they thought they were totally aware and worked with it and included it in their, architectures and their often religious iconography and rituals and what have you.
I've got a room upstairs that's an octagon room with a 20-foot tall cone ceiling. It's actually a turret. Right?
Wow.
And it's
Wow.
like, oh my God, it's so magical. It's really, we have really lost mostly the art of making spaces that are livable and that light us up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Anything else you want to share before we end?
Oh, so on the end of the video has got my website if anyone wanted to get in touch with me. And I'm just in the process of getting, a series of video clips up with the sacred music, so Fijio music, and will soon be available for downloading and experiencing, and developing your own spiritual inner sanctuary where it's just you and the sacred geometry, and the rest of the world is just, the maelstrom around you cannot get through the um, the realm of we've surrounded ourselves with. It cannot penetrate that negativity and fear, and that cannot penetrate through what we have created in our sanctuary, in our consciousness.
It's really the essence of beauty.
Yes, and we were talking earlier, previous conversation about it being used for, as a therapeutic process for anxiety and fear and anger and autism and all of the things. And that's what I've been working on for a long time. And then, when you bring the sound into it, then it just amplifies it all the more, the effect all the more.
The potential is huge. Thank you for all your work. I just get so excited. I just love it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be part of this.
Hey, see ya.
Bye.